The evening creeps in through the vines and branches of the canopy. Insects hum incessantly, although they seem lethargic somehow, weaker than usual, drowsy even. The heat of the day drains away. The smaller animals of the forest go to their business. For them, the evening brings a modicum of safety. A white building perches in a clearing nearby, its long walls stained by years of tropical conditioning. Greens and browns run in jagged little veins from its base, mold and moss dominating the lower half of the walls. But even with this cultivated camouflage, the white wooden walls stand out like a beacon. Only its double doors are impeded by the gloom, leaving a mouth-shaped shadow on the building. Other smaller prefabs sit around it, their structures broken, discolored by rust. A low voice can be heard, a pleading tone woven into it, like a wearisome mother tempting her child, coaxing it into behaving correctly. Ezra appears at the perimeter of the clearing, Malika only a few steps behind, still shuffling in a zombie-esque manner, eyes out of focus, mouth hanging gaunt. Her slow movements do nothing to improve the man's mood. He does his best to cheer her on, fake smile sculpted well for such a trying situation. Yet all his words and gestures mean nothing to the girl. They reach the steps. Ezra jumps up them and grabs the door handles. The smile slips away. "No, no, no," he groans. The man's face contorts with anger. He stamps his feet, swearing into the darkness. Then, with a quick turn, he's off and walking. "I'll see if there's another entrance. Wait here." He runs into the darkness, footsteps still audible momentarily. The girl stands quietly. After a minute, the man returns, his face still gripped with anger. "I found this. I'm gonna..." He realizes Malika isn't paying him any notice. "Oh, fuck it then." The man wields a thick branch. He makes his way up the steps, taking them two at a time. Beside the large door are two equally large panes of glass. A hand reaches out to test their strength. Ezra takes a step back, then swings the branch. It meets the glass and bounces off. A dull thud sounds out. He gets a better grip on the weapon, then swings again. This time the glass cracks. The accountant leans in to get a better look at his handiwork. "Nice." He turns to check if his partner has noticed. She hasn't. The smile leaves his face again. Hands grip the branch hard. It's brought up high over his shoulder. Then with a growl, Ezra unleashes a bold attack on the pane. The frosted glass shatters, falling into shards, crumbling into tiny cubes. Thousands of these cubes cascade down the steps. Malika flinches, finally woken from her state. Her eyes flutter. She looks about in surprise. "Ezra?" she bleats softly. He turns to regard her. The woman who was so bold and ready now gives off the aura of the defeated. "Come on," Ezra replies. He gestures at the broken window. Without another word, he hops over the mess and enters the building. Inside, the decor is untouched by the outside world. Room after room of computers and office equipment. then bedrooms, bathrooms, and a neat little kitchen area, complete with microwave, all leading off from one long, twisting corridor. Ezra walks through the dimming light to the very end. He inspects it, surveys it for suitability. At the far end of the hallway he reaches a dead end. Then he doubles back. The corridor takes a 90-degree turn to the left, a difficult fact to glean in this poorly lit place. Through the darkened passage he goes, striding into oblivion. After the left turn in the passage, another sharp left turn occurs. Ezra discovers this when he meets the wall with his face. He jumps back, frightful of attack, hating himself for his confidence. Nothing happens. Ezra lifts his hands and feels the wall. It's different to the others, covered in glass, cool to the touch. He turns away from the dead end and marches off. Outside, Malika has been gathering herself. She tries to tidy her clothes, attempting to make them presentable, to little avail. The mud and general filth of the day has made them stiff and unforgiving. She heads to the steps, only to step on one of the tiny cubes of glass that litter them. It lodges itself in her heel. She steps down to find balance, and it works its way deeper into the hardened skin. She lurches back onto the dirt, slumping to the ground. The glass is easily removed. She throws the little shard over her shoulder. Ezra appears at the hole in the glass. He spots her, sitting on the floor, looking pathetic. His eyes avert, and he moves off into the darkness behind the building. Malika looks on. Blood pools around the new hole in her foot. The parched soil welcomes this sustenance. She tears some fabric from her already torn shirt and dabs the wound. Then, with reluctance, she stands. The girl steps towards the building, checking the floor for more hazards. A small step at a time. The pain registers on her face. She looks up in surprise as the glass at the top of the steps flashes suddenly. Not sure of what she saw, doubting her own vision. Then another flash, and another longer flicker. Then the area is full of light. Malika gasps. "Watch out for the glass." Ezra steps from the gloom, the smile back on his face. He walks up the incline, noticing the blood stains on each step. "Shit, I'm sorry." He helps his companion to the door. The floor is covered. He goes to pick her up, and then changes his mind, arms returning to his sides. She places a hand on his shoulder, a look of resignation on her face. He takes it as an affirmative and places his hands on her hips. They struggle. Ezra gains a good grip, lifting the girl with some effort. Soon they are in the softly carpeted, white-walled luxury of the indoors. They find a room full of beds with a communal-style bathroom. Light has filled the complex now. The luminescence from the windows leaches into the jungle, uncovering fractured glimpses of the surrounding area. On the front of the building, a sign shines out, like a beacon in the night. Ezra leaves the young woman to utilize the facilities, striding off down the long hallway once again. Beyond the blind bend he finds a portal. The wall that he thought was glass is a door, or rather a security gate, a metal and hardened glass contraption. Its facade is wooden, but it's clearly built to last. The wood just an aesthetic flourish. At the right of the door, a red button pulses. Below it, a green button, and a panel of small numbered keys with LCD dial. The red button is well worn. There's white lettering imprinted on it. At some point it had read "Stop." The large green button reads "Safe," though its lettering is far clearer. Ezra pushes the crimson button without much hesitation. There doesn't seem to be any response from the machinery. He waits a few seconds, then he hits it 2 more times. Then once more with malice. A ticking sound comes from the wall to his right, then a thud. The security door slides sideways, revealing a small room, a small metallic space, with basin, freezers, and a diminutive glass window. He steps inside. The bulbs flicker. Nearly half of them pop and die, leaving the room shrouded. His pupils open wide, eyes adjust quickly. The little man exclaims, "No way, it's..." The security door slides shut. A klaxon sounds. Ezra leaps, twisting around and beating the door with his fists. "Open! Please! No!" He grips the edge of the wooden facade and pulls. Nothing. Not even a slight movement in the device. He braces himself, placing a leg up against the metal bulkhead, then tries again. Fingers strain and buckle. He gives in, trapped like a lab rat in some maddening experiment. Back in the bedrooms, Malika has finished her shower. She hears the klaxon instantly, shrill sirens, like nothing the girl has ever heard, impossibly loud, coming from everywhere. Her search for Ezra starts in the bedrooms. Then she steps into the hall and looks both ways, the cut in her heel making every other step a trial. To her right is the entrance, to the left is the rear of the building. She hobbles away, down the corridor, into the depths of the place, finding the passage to the security portal and the source of the noise. Malika, having never confronted any device like the one before her, looks over the thing steadily. She recognizes the numbers, but the green button flashes. So the girl decides to press it. The klaxon stops. Immediately she feels better. Her shoulders sag, relaxing back into their normal position. She turns to walk away, then shouts out, "Ezra!" The girl moves off. Then she hears his voice, muffled by the glass. She runs back to the door, hitting her palms against it. "Open the door, Malika!" "Ezra!" she shouts in response. Her hands run over the panel of numbers. The light now pulses in the red button. It has a foreboding look, not inviting like the green button. "Press the fucking button!" On the other side of the door, Ezra leans against the portal. His face rests on it. In his arms he holds a jar, its semi-covered by a grey sheath, under which a layer of ice can be seen. He mumbles to himself. What would she know? French or something? "Rouge, Malika, rouge!" He doesn't hear the mechanical ticking or the thud. The door slides open before him. Ezra tumbles forwards. The jar rolls away to Malika's feet. She steps over it and grabs Ezra by the elbow, helping him up from the carpet. "Thanks," he says. They walk back to the bedrooms, Ezra holding the jar, its glass chilling his fingers, making them numb. Malika looks across to see what he has taken from the secure room. He realizes, removing the insulating sheath from the container. The jar holds a long piece of flesh, coiled up, greying in the formaldehyde. One side is raw like uncooked pork, the other rigid and hard like snakeskin. The little accountant stares into the glass, his face gleeful, like a child with a new toy. It's amazing. What kind of animal it comes from I don't know, but it must have been huge. A dinosaur, probably. Malika has found herself a bed. Its white cotton sheets feel like luxury. Even the slight damp in them cannot take away the sensation of relief. Muscles relaxing for the first time in days. She soon drifts into sleep. After using the basin and hand dryer, Ezra returns to the bedroom, his clothes still clotted with mud. He sees the young woman sleeping. Not wanting to wake her, he picks up the specimen jar and walks the short distance to the computer rooms. The PCs are old, still using wide floppy disks of 5.5 inches. They have no password protection and no need for login information. The young accountant shakes his head, rolling his eyes as a sign of his contempt. He had always used proper protocol when it came to such matters. The company had always been very clear. Secure everything, even accounting information. Whoever worked here was rather more relaxed on the matter. The malfunctioning security door was greater proof of this fact. In minutes, Ezra has found files full of research notes and pictures, soil analysis charts, grainy shots of mine shafts and drill sites. Then a picture of the old woman flicks up. Ezra recognizes her. The woman looks the same now as she did then, however many years before the shot had been taken. She sits at a table, sharing a drink with a white man. He is some sort of executive, if the suit was anything to go by. They seem jovial, smiling pleasantly. There are many files. He opens them one after another, not sure of what he's looking at most of the time. In amongst the litany of documents, a video file appears. He clicks. The clip plays in silence. 2 men prod at the stone face of a mine. The video cuts to a man with angle grinder in hand. He forces the machine into the rock. The blade sinks in, then a brownish liquid sprays forth. The camera shakes. Men fall, gripping their throats, convulsing, before slouching against the stone and dropping out of shot. The video ends. Ezra presses the power button on the screen. He sits back, panic written on his face. He turns to the jar. "What the hell are you?" From the corridor he hears a squawk of pain, an animal grunt, a sound that makes his heart race. A jolt, a shock of electricity strikes him in the area behind his eyes. He runs to the doorway. To his left move the bodies of decimated tribesfolk. The pack fill the entranceway. There are scores of them, dead-eyed corpses, sniffing the ground like hounds. The glass shards in their feet tap on the corridor's hardened surface. Ezra runs back to the jar. He grabs it and searches for a hiding place. After scanning the room, he spots a tall metal shelving unit meant for lab equipment. The doors are pulled open and the man jumps in. But as soon as the doors close, he hears the scream. Malika has woken to a room full of the undead humans. Some of them are recognizably members of her village. They swarm over her, nipping, biting at her unguarded regions. Her sharp screams pervade the area. Ezra cannot stay still. He hops from the metal closet and rushes to the door. "Come on, you fucks! I'm not scared of you!" The screams from the bedroom stop. replaced by the sound of many feet running to a common goal. Their bodies erupt from the doorway, a torrent of decomposing limbs and gnashing teeth. They hoot and cackle as they sprint at the man. All their red eyes fixate on him. Oh shit! He runs, legs creating speed that was unknown to him. Along the corridor, out of the entrance, across the glass and down the steps. He doesn't breathe until his feet hit the dirt of the parking lot. Without a look, the little man darts into the forested area of the compound. In the darkness of the night he sees a light. Among the trees and creepers is another structure. It becomes clear as he gets nearer. Like an elevator surrounded by wire fences, a carriage hangs from huge metal cables. It was built years before to help the men of the mining company. A conveyance for reaching the deepest parts of the mine shafts. Ezra leaps through a gap in the chain-link fence and into the mouth of the machine. He sees a switch and hits it with his palm. The device squeals, metal plays on metal, and slowly the cage descends. Around him the forest teems with rotting predators, each howling its undead song, the pack rejoicing in the thrill of the hunt. They make for him, clawing their way over the fencing. They jump at the cage to collect their prey. Only the thin metal mesh at the elevator's entrance stops them clawing at him. And then it was gone. The box is in the earth, with Ezra inside. In the research center, Malika is frantically searching for a hiding place. Her clean new clothes are now dotted with blood. The t-shirt and shorts offered very little protection. She feels bruises pulsing, growing hard just below the skin. The hunted woman weeps quietly as she runs from room to room. The undead calls intensify. They wander nearer. She reaches the end of the corridor, realizing instantly that there is nowhere left to run. The security door had opened for her once. She presses the red plastic button, and it opened. But no amount of pressing opens the door. The red button winks at her with its crimson light. The young woman starts to press all the buttons, numbered or otherwise. Nothing happens. The cry of the undead creeps along the corridor. Malika squeals in fear. They've reached her again. She hits the panel of buttons with all her strength, bruises raging on her palms. Undead predators emerge behind her. They run with no hesitation, keen for victory. Then they are on her, pulling at her clothes, fingernails ripping at her bare skin. The woman pulls her hands from the security gate and flails them at the attackers. Rolling over works too, momentarily. Kicking and punching keeps them from her throat. They cannot gain a grip on her limbs. The girl cries out. From amongst the rabble steps a large alpha. The pack move away from it. The creature is not perturbed by her flaccid attempts at defense. Its fists hammer